I've wanted an OP1 for a very long time. There were a few things about the OP1 that just made it feel like not the right device for me. The first one was that even though it had a really cool, unique sound, that sound was very lo-fi. The second was that it only had one tape to work with, and so it always seemed more like a sketch pad to me, even with everything else it could do, compared to a true DAW in a box or, portable workstation, although it always has been that. The other thing was the price, which, if you're watching this video and you know anything about music tech, might be funny given what's in front of me. But by the time I was really interested in an OP1 original, they had already stopped being manufactured temporarily and then went from $800 to $1,200. And at that price, the issues I already had with it were too big, and I just was able to make myself not buy one. And then, sometime last year in 2022, this device, the OP1 Field, was announced. And it seemed to fix every problem I had with the original. And it did some stuff I didn't even understand were problems I would have had with the original. It solved those. The biggest one being stereo sampling and stereo playback of basically every sound generator on the device, as well as stereo tape tracks. And then the one that I knew immediately was a big one for me was including 8 different tapes you could go between. By increasing the amount of essentially projects you can have on this device and increasing the quality of the sound, the neutral tape is a very hi-fi device. And I'm not someone who's really noticed 16-bit versus 24-bit versus 32-bit audio, but I do know that this sounds good and it sounds clean. I waited a really long time to buy this. I never bought the original, and I've wanted this since it came out. It added a few more features since it was released that really pushed me over the edge, and the most important was velocity sensitivity to the keyboard. I love playing live sounds and recording in. Normally I record into sequencers that allow me to quantize, so even though I play live, I will sometimes correct what I do. That's not as much of an option with this device. There are sequencers, but they're fairly limited compared to something like the Polyend Tracker or the MPCs or the Machine. But there is something about the workflow of working with this virtual tape that feels like I'm handcrafting something, similar to my experience when I was using the resample method on the SP404SX. In both of those situations, in this and the SP404SX resample method, having to lock into audio and sometimes having to overdub if you want more audio, while it's scary, leads to really cool and really interesting opportunities. And so I wasn't originally going to make a video about this because I only picked this up a few days ago, and I wanted to spend enough time with it to not sound like an amateur. And I want to be clear, I am an amateur when it comes to the OP1 Field, but I'm not an amateur when it comes to music production. And so I feel like what I've made here is good enough that it's worth showing. I don't want to be one of those people who just went out and bought one, doesn't know how to use it, makes a video, and then it sounds like it's not capable. I wouldn't put this out if I didn't think what I made was interesting. I think it's interesting. Is it expert level? No. I didn't buy this to be an expert immediately right away. I bought it because I really like the idea of a challenge and learning something new. And to be clear, I did buy this with my own money. I bought it at a local shop called Control Voltage here in Portland. They're really cool. Not sponsored in any way, no discounts, gave them all the money. I really appreciate those dudes in that store. They're really rad. And I wanted to own this. I didn't want to borrow it. I didn't want to do a sponsored thing. I wanted to own this and learn it and spend real time with it. And so yeah, I'm going to be making videos with it in the future. I'm not selling anything to pay for it. So I'm still definitely going to be making machine videos, Force videos, MPC videos. So don't worry about that. This isn't just an OP1 channel now. I'm really excited about this device, and I want to show you some stuff I made with it. It should be noted that I don't think the onboard synths are necessarily the best sounding synths I've ever heard. Even with the stereo upgrades and the Mother Reverb, I'm not fully sold on them yet, at least not all of them. But because this has 32-bit audio, sampling stuff in stereo as well sounds so good that I can plug in my iPhone and use like a virtual audio app like Jakob Hack's Agonizer, some of the Korg apps as well, and basically just have new synths. I can also sample my voice, which I've done a few times on a few different tracks so far. And it's really that sampling capability and having this be in such a portable, powerful, in the sense of what it can do for how small it is, package is just really cool. All right, so here's the first thing I did, and I hope you enjoy it. So yeah, this one included multiple sampled instruments as well as some of the synthesizers on board. As other reviewers and tech folks and people who've used the device have said, the Mother Reverb is really nice. I've been enjoying some of the other effects and doing sound design as well, but this was, I think, my first project I really did on here, and there's still plenty I can do, and I'll probably export it and add more stuff later, but I do just really like how good it can sound on board, all standalone, all in this very small package. I showed this to my roommates, and they were so just surprised by the size of this thing. I think most people who don't do music stuff and aren't super in this would assume that a device that's $2,000 would be just bigger, but that's part of what I think is so cool about this thing, is how much it can do given how small and self-contained it is. I mean, that's part of what I think you're paying for here, is the sound quality, the capability of the device in this small of a package with this type of battery life, with this type of build quality. Now, $2,000 is a lot of money, and I'm not here to say that $2,000 is not a lot of money. I went into this store even though I knew I was going to buy it. You know, there's that saying, like, sleep on it, really think about what you're doing, and I've thought about this and slept on it, not in the sense of it being slept on, but really considering this purchase for a very long time. But even when I got into the store, I was like trying out all the other gear, looking at other stuff, being like, oh man, I don't know if I can drop this on here. And I was nervous, and I got it. As soon as I got home and started playing with it, it was super mysterious and weird. And I was like, oh no, have I made a mistake? And then I've used this thing for like 6 hours, maybe more in the last 2 days, probably definitely more. And I just got like sucked into it, and it's just so cool, and it can do so much, and there's so much to learn. And so I can't tell you what is or isn't worth what amount of money in your life, because that's truly a personal decision. And but even objectively, I think $2,000 is a lot of money. There's a lot of other gear you can get, and you don't have to rush out and buy this for sure, but I'm really glad I got it. So let me show you another track I made, and then, yeah. So to load my tape, I'll just hit Shift and Tape. That was Dreams. This one is called Rain. And it's called Rain because I sampled the rain. I plugged this into an iPad with a USB-C cable and got audio out of it directly, which is really cool. And then I made this little beat. I hope you enjoy. And this one, I would say, is not a finished product yet. Neither is the other one, but you can see I'm looping this area and still building it out. I was working on this last night, and there's a lot more I can do. So let's maybe talk about some of my real cons with this. I had a misunderstanding, and please comment below if you know how to do this and I'm just missing it, but I for some reason thought you could just merge down tracks together. That was just something I assumed. Like, I understood there's no undo, and I can live with that. Lifting and dropping is really simple. Using Shift to navigate between these little beats is totally fine. But for some reason, I thought there'd be a way to take like track 2 and 3, merge them and have them be either 2 or 3 and free up one of those other channels. So far, I haven't found anything that simple. The only thing I was able to find was the resample method, where you basically sample the synth itself going into the sampler and changing to out in so that you can sample in what's playing. And if you use the drum synth, you can get 20 seconds. And so that's fine. But I was really hoping you'd be able to just simple merge down. And so far, I haven't been able to figure that out. Other than that, though, I mean, obviously an undo would be good. I would love to see more synth engines. I would love to see more effects. I think they're off to a good start. And the fact that they've added velocity sensitivity and the vocoder recently, the fact they've talked about this as like a very long-term platform, similar to what the first one was, and given all the different features that rolled out to the first one over time, I'm excited to see what else drops on this. That said, the adage goes, never buy something for what you think it'll do in the future. Buy it for what it does today. And for what this does today so far, I'm really impressed. This is not a review. I'm definitely a beginner, like I said, but I'm really enjoying it so far. I understand it's a bit of an outrageous purchase, I do, but so far, no regrets. Thank you so much to my Patreon patrons. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great week. Consider liking, subscribing, and all that good stuff, and I'll see you soon. Bye.